Hello, hope you're okay and hope you managed to access my previous class on the budget line and the different scales. So today I'll continue from there and we're going to talk about consumer equilibrium, okay, which is the last part of this topic. So once you get to understand this consumer equilibrium, then I can safely say you're okay with consumer theory. Okay, so now consumer equilibrium is simply the state of satisfaction. Okay, in other ways, if you are to say consumer equilibrium, if you were to say it in Nyanja, I would say nikukuta. Chibemba, I don't know what you say, the state where you eat, then you get full. Ukukuta, in economics, we call that consumer equilibrium. So consumer equilibrium is a state of consumer satisfaction. When the consumer is having the maximum satisfaction, that is called consumer equilibrium. So now the question is, at which point is this consumer in equilibrium? Okay, when do we say that which bundle does the consumer get to choose in order for them to be considered at the state of satisfaction? Okay, so you can see there from the diagram that you have points A, B, E, all right, and you are yet to choose which one is the consumer's maximizing bundle. So now, in order for you to determine this bundle, you need to realize that there are two things that you need. First of all, you need to know that the consumer cannot spend above their income. So the budget line is representing their ability to pay. It's representing their money that they have. So remember that the consumer always loves to be on the highest indifference curve. But remember, the budget line limits you to go beyond a certain level of indifference curve. So for example here, you can see that we have indifference curves U1, U2, and U3. So obviously the consumer would love to be on in the indifference curve U3, which is the highest, but however they cannot be there because it's beyond their ability to pay, which is the budget line. So it is unattainable. So the consumer can choose indifference curve U1, but you know that obviously the consumer desires the highest. So the highest indifference curve there is U2. So you need to realize that there are two conditions for consumer maximization, and I hope you can write these 2 points. So the first condition that a consumer can be said to be in equilibrium, the first condition is that the consumer should spend all their income. In other ways, the maximizing bundle that will give the consumer the maximum satisfaction should be on the budget line. Okay, so the first condition is that this bundle that will give the consumer the maximizing utility should be on the budget line. So that is number one condition. The bundle must be on the budget line. The second condition is that the bundle must be on the highest indifference curve. Okay, so it should be on the budget line and on the highest indifference curve. So those are the two conditions that must be met in order for you to have a maximizing bundle. Okay, so for example, we can look at this and say, which bundle do you think? So you see, we say the first condition is that the maximizing bundle should be on the budget line. So you can see that we have 3 options then. We have A, B, and E. They are all on the budget line, but which one will the consumer choose? So obviously the consumer will not go for A because A is on a lower indifference curve, right? So you can see that A is on a lower indifference curve, B as well, which is not belonging to any indifference curve, but obviously it's also lower than the U2. So the consumer will go on the highest indifference curve here, which is not U3. U3 is out because it's above the budget line. So the highest indifference curve is U2. So you can see that point E, therefore, will be the consumer's maximizing bundle. Why point E? Because it's on the budget line and it's and it's on the highest indifference curve that can be attained by this consumer with a given income, which is U2, right? So how then do we state this condition? All right, so there's a way that you need to state this condition. All right, so you state this condition by having this formula down. All right, so which I'm about to state it. I'm sure you saw something like this. All right, now, okay, sorry about that. Let me just get back. Okay, so you can see that there is something here which is a formula for finding the maximizing bundle. All right, so now we have px, which is the price of x over the price of y, should be equal to MUX over MUY. So MU simply stands for marginal utility. Okay, so MUX is marginal utility of x, and MUY is the marginal utility of good y. All right, so now px over py is what is called as the slope or gradient of the budget line. Okay, so the slope or the gradient of the budget line is calculated by getting the ratio of the two prices of the respective goods. So you get the price of x divided by the price of y to find the gradient of the budget line. Okay, so this line here of the budget line, so this straight line where A, B, and E are lying, to find the slope of that line, you divide the two prices. So if you have good x and good y, you get the price of the one which is in the horizontal axis divided by the price of the one in the y-axis. So when you divide those two, you get what is known as the gradient of the budget line. So now this, what is here is that the slope of the budget line must be equal to MUX over MUY. Now MUX over MUY is the slope, okay, it is what we call the marginal rate of substitution, which is the slope of the indifference curve. Okay, so MUX over MUY is the slope of the indifference curve, whereas PX over PY is simply the price of X and the price of Y. Okay, so in other ways, what we're having here, this formula is telling us that the slope of the budget line must be equal to the slope of the indifference curve. All right, of which in writing we are going to put it that the equilibrium point is the point where the indifference curve is tangent with the budget line. I'll say that again. We therefore state, if they tell you, for example, state the condition of consumer equilibrium, you say the point of equilibrium is where the indifference curve is tangent with the budget line. Okay, so whatever you're seeing here, these two formulas are the same. It's just you reverse them and just do the arrangement. You cross multiply. This one goes up and the other one, but they're all the same thing. All right, so what you're seeing there is the same thing. So if we have this, okay, so point E there, you can see that the budget line is tangent to the indifference curve. That is the point of consumer equilibrium, and in mathematical form it is stated as this: px over py is equal to MUX over the MUY, which is the marginal utility. Okay, so that is all about what is called consumer equilibrium. So for you to find the consumer equilibrium, remember, it is just finding the slope of the budget line, where the slope of the budget line is equal to the slope of the indifference curve, or you can state it as it is the point of equilibrium is where the indifference curve is tangent with the budget line. So at this point, it means you look for this point, go to the highest indifference curve, and on the budget line. So you go on the budget line, and where on the budget line are we having the highest indifference curve? Then you pick the point where it's tangent to the budget line. Okay, so that is what we are talking about. Okay, so let us look at the other form in which you can be asked a question. Okay, so I've given you this table here. All right, the formula still remains the same. All right, but this one has been given in terms of a table, so you can see this formula here is the same as just py over px. Everything is just the same. Okay, so now given such a table, Now this is under what is known as cardinal utility. Okay. But I'll give more explanation maybe when we meet live on what the two differences are between the two theories. But anyways, let us look at this table, and they ask you, for example, so you can see from this table that we have the quantity, okay, and then you have MUX, which is marginal utility. Then the third column there is showing MUX over PX, which is marginal utility divided by the price of X. So MUY, then you have MUY over PY, which is just want to find this point that is here, okay, using this formula. So now they ask you the question, which combination of X and Y would the consumer choose to maximize their utility? So you want to find, you have got Y and you have got good X. Then you want to find out, you don't have the indifference curves here. All right, this is under the cardinal approach. You don't have indifference curves. So they give you such a table, then they ask you which, okay, how many of Y should the consumer choose, or how many of X should the consumer choose? So the approach is the same. How you find that maximizing bundle is the same thing. So how many of X should the consumer choose, and how many of Y should the consumer choose in order for them wakute? Okay, what do you need in order for them to be in equilibrium? So here what you do is you need to find these points here. Okay, so you need to look at the MUX, the marginal utility of X divided by the price of X, okay, being equal to the marginal utility of Y divided by the price of Y. So this is also called, for example, the MUX over PX is called the marginal utility per dollar. Okay, so per dollar just representing the price there. Okay, it can be per kwacha, but since dollar is an international recognized currency, that's why we're just using per dollar. So what you're seeing on your left side, you can call it as the marginal utility of X per dollar and the marginal utility of Y per dollar as well. So the condition is that this bundle, okay, must meet this condition. So you need to find a point where the marginal utility of X divided by the price of X should be, it's equal to the marginal utility of Y divided by the price of Y. So you go back to the table, then you search for those points. So you have the quantities, you have the marginal utilities of X. All right, now given under this table here, it says that you have been given the prices. So you can see from here, it says the price of X is equal to 2. The price of Y is also equal to 2. So given that you can be given this table, then you can calculate this MUX over PX. So both prices are just 2. So you can see there how they were getting this MUX over PX. They were just dividing by the price of X, which is 2. So you can see there for the first one, you have MUX is 30, meaning MUX over PX will be equal to 15. Okay, for the other one is 29 divided by the price, which is 2. The third one is 28 divided by 2, which is 14, and so on and so forth. You get down to get your MUX over PX. It's the same thing for the MUY, the marginal utility of Y. They were dividing marginal utility of Y divided by the price of Y, which is also equal to 2. So it's just here you get 20 divided by 2, 19 divided by 2, and so on and so forth. So you just get there. So now how do you get this point? So I want you to pay very much attention here, and we get to be done. So look at then look for numbers. So your focus is only going to be on this MUX over PX. All right. So we're going to focus on this column and the last column here. Okay. So now let's look close to these two. Since our interest is just MUX over PX to meet this condition that is here. So you need to find places where these two are equal. Now, they do not necessarily have to be in the same row. The only thing that you need are numbers that are appearing in the MUX over PX and also appearing in the MUY over PY. Hope you got that. So they don't necessarily have to be in the same row. But so long as the numbers are appearing 2 times, for example, I want you to look at MUX over PX and look at MUY over PY. So let us go to MUX over PY over PX. So let us look for numbers that are appearing on both sides, on the MUX over PX and also on the MUY over PY. So I'm looking there 15, there's no 15 in this other one. For 14.5, there's no 14.5. So you can go down there, there's nothing until we reach 10. So you can see the MUX over PX, I have a 10 there. And then go to the MUY over PY, we also have a 10 up there. Okay, so these are two numbers. So meaning for X, for good X, the consumer has to consume. So you go where there's a 10 there and you check how many units are those for X. It means there's 7 units. So you can see there that where there's a 10, quantity is 7. So meaning for X, the consumer should consume 7. Okay, 7X. So hope you're writing that. I want you just to put them in brackets so you can put it as bundle A. So you can just write A is equal to, you can write 7X, okay? And then for MUY over Y, where are we finding the 10? So you look here, for X, we have found the 10 is appearing on quantity 7. What about for Y? Where is the 10 appearing? So for Y, the Y is appearing, so you can see that's on top. So look at the quantity, it's 1. So meaning the Y, okay, the Y we need to consume 1. So in other words, we make this bundle as 7X, okay, and 1Y. That is a combination that will maximize the bundle. So that is one bundle, you can keep it, and let's check if we have another one as well. So far we have found one. We are saying 7X and 1Y. So let us look for another number. So the other number that is appearing twice on both MUX over PX and MUY over PY, we are having a 9. So where there is a 9 here, okay, 9, what is the, okay, so where there's a 9, so MUX, you should go, that is representing good X. So let us go MUX over PX. So how many X do we have? So you go and check this side, the quantity is showing 8. So you can write to say B, maybe you can just name it as bundle B. How many of X? Okay, so we have 9. Okay, so where there's a 9 here, it's representing 8. So you can say 8X, all right? Then you go and look for the 9 for the Y, meaning for Y, it's appearing, the 9 is appearing on the third quantity. So you say good Y, we need how many? Those are 3. Okay, so it means bundle B, we're going to have 8X and 3 Ys. So here is the 9, and there's another 9 here. Okay, so we go again and look for the other one. So you check, they can be a lot, but there'll only be one bundle that will maximize the utility. So let us look for the other one. The other one is appearing where there is 8. So you can see the MUX over PX, we have 8 there. And when we go to the MUY over PY, we also have 8 there. So you look for a bundle. So for X, it means we are going to have how many X? 9X, because that's the one which is corresponding to this 8. Then you go and look for the 8 where there is the Y. 8 is going to be 4. Okay, so it means here we have another bundle which is 9X and how many Ys? So where there is 8, we have 4Y. So I hope you're writing that just to follow me. So it means we have 9X and 4Y. Okay, so we have 3. Okay, so do we have another one? We can just check. So MUX over PX, MUY over PY, we do not have other numbers that are appearing on both sides. I think those are the numbers. There are 3 numbers. So among those 3, we should have one bundle that will maximize. Remember, there cannot be 2 numbers. There cannot be 2 bundles. There will only be one bundle that is going to maximize utility. So how then are we going to find it, to determine between these 3? Now you look for the bundle which is going to satisfy what is called the expenditure rule. Okay? So remember we said that the bundle must be on the budget line, meaning the consumer must spend all their income. Now I want to take you back. All right, I want to take you back to the budget line. Remember the budget line, we said the formula for the budget line is, okay, maybe let me not look for it, I can just state it. The formula for the budget line is M or I, which is income. So income is equal to the price of Y, or the price of X times X, which is the quantity of X, plus the price of Y times the quantity of Y, isn't it? That's what we said. So you need to ask yourself, how much income does this consumer have? So you can see from this example, you are also given income. So it says, when you follow it up, down here it says the consumer here has, it is assumed that the consumer's income, so you can see from here, it says it is assumed that the consumer's income is 22 kwacha. So among those bundles which we are having, which bundle is going to be equal to 22 when we place it in that budget line formula? Okay, so when you place that formula in the budget line, which one will be equal to 22? Okay, that's what we're going to do here. So for example, here you have A, which we said, so let us do that and see which one will be equal to 22. The one which will be equal to 22 is the one that you're going to get as your maximizing bundle. So remember the A, we said A is 7, 1, isn't it? Meaning 7x and 1y. So let us see, remember what we're getting here, 7 times 2 is simply the price of x times the quantity of x. So the price of x is 2, whereas the quantity is 7. So we're doing 7 times 2. Okay, so that 7 there is representing the quantity of x, and 2 there is the price of x, plus what is our 1? Our 1 there is our y, isn't it? So y times the 2 there is the price of y. So when you do that mathematics, simple mathematics, it's equal to 16, meaning bundle A is out. It's not a maximizing bundle. Okay, let us go to bundle B. Bundle B is 8x and 3y. So you multiply 8 by 2, which is the price of x, plus 3 times 2, which is just the price of y, times the 3, which is the quantity of y, is equal to 22. So that one remains to be our potential. When you look at C, it's definitely more than, okay, it's 26 when you do that simple mathematics, of which is above the consumer's income, meaning the consumer cannot afford it. So the one which the consumer here is going to choose is going to be bundle B. Why? It is equal to 22. It's meeting the two conditions of consumer equilibrium. So I hope that was clear. So remember, the first thing you need to do is go to the table. All right, you go to the table there and look for numbers that appear on both the MUX over PX and MUY over PY. So those numbers, they don't necessarily have to be in the same row, but they only need to appear on both sides, on the MUX over PX as well as the MUY over PY. So you pick those numbers. So here we pick the numbers where there are X's, where there are stars there. So you can see a 10 is appearing there and it's also appearing in here. The 9 is appearing there and it's also appearing there. So you just take the numbers as they are, form those bundles. They should be equal to the income that the consumer has. So since our consumer here has income, our only bundle that is responding to that is bundle B. So therefore bundle B is a maximizing bundle. So remember, there are two ways in which they can ask you about this one. So the first one is the one that I showed you earlier on with the difference curves, and the other one is this, but all the formulas, it is all the same. These are only different approaches. So hope that was very clear and helpful. In case you're not clear, please get to call me, or you can ask me any question, but I hope that was very clear, so you can get to practice this, get to try to do it on your own and see if you can find the same answers. All right, so till we see you in another class, thank you so much for having joined in.